Hello, Coach Onawa with you today, and I wanted to share a little bit of an intro here and why I'm starting this YouTube channel. So, my name is Onawa, and I'm an alcohol freedom coach. And so, I wanted to share a little bit about how I became a coach, what I do, and how it's different than maybe an approach that you have explored with questioning your relationship with alcohol. So for me, really, the reason why I became a coach is my own personal story, and that started when I was in my early teens. So I had navigated some traumatic loss. I lost my mom when I was young, and I was navigating that and introduced to alcohol at such a that vulnerable age for many of us, and it just quickly clicked in. I was like, oh, this can work, right? Probably to emotionally regulate, to balance out, to get into that feeling of whatever I was looking for safety wise. And it gave the illusion of that. And because I think it just clicked in with me so early, and all of the society messages around alcohol that it's just this is what you do, right? I ended up bringing that with me throughout my life as my tool, like my strategy for dealing with life. Like, oh, this is how I get stuff done. This is how I reward myself. I've done all the things. I'm going to have wine, or this is how I go out and celebrate or connect with friends and family. It just had become, right, just part of, I gave it all the jobs, I had all the jobs. Um, and I just continued using that throughout my life, stopping when I had kids, but after kids and some time passed there, it just started to creep back in again. I knew I would go back to that tool. But it was after kids that it started, the disconnect started to get louder, where it wasn't matching. I'm reading what is in our environment, what chemicals, what's in food additives, all these things I want to be aware of for my family. And I just kept giving alcohol a free pass. I'm like, I couldn't consider looking at that because again, it felt like it had all the jobs, right? I felt like it was this thing for me. And also this kind of undercurrent of it's like, it's freedom. It's the thing that just for me, right? I've done all the things to take care of people. And now I have this. And so, but it started to really like that noise in your head. It started to get in my head, that cognitive dissonance was louder. And so that's a painful spot to be because it's an argument in our own head, right? Like I knew consciously it wasn't matching, but it looked miserable if I were to stop or try to stop. And it also was starting to feel miserable keeping drinking because it always ended up more than I wanted to. It always it never was like, oh, yay, I drink more. Right? That just wasn't the case. But I was asking, like, what's wrong with me? Am I not doing it right? Like, just this like kind of beating myself up. And what would I do when I beat myself up? I'd be like, well, what's my tool when I'm feeling bad? Alcohol. And so in some ways I started to, would drink more. And this went on for a while until by a random coincidence, I was introduced to the book This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. There are few books that I recommend wholeheartedly, and this is for sure a life changer. The way that Annie Grace compiles this information to really start questioning alcohol in a way that I had never done before, that I didn't know was possible, to recognize that I was living on inherited beliefs, that alcohol relaxed me, that alcohol was fun, that alcohol, created connections and bonding. I thought those was true. You would have asked me, I'm like, yeah, for sure, alcohol relaxes me. I would have just told you that was the truth. And it wasn't until I started to realize that I had built my life around beliefs that I had inherited. I was following a script, but whose script? And I hadn't been in charge of deciding that or not. And so by doing this work, we get to uncover and bring awareness to what are those deeper beliefs that maybe you have around alcohol, to examine to see if those are even actually true for you. And what's so cool is in This Naked Mind, Annie Grace shares a ton of research about how alcohol responds in human bodies, right? Like the stress hormones that are left behind from drinking. That's just how it works in our human body. So it starts to take away that shame and blame and instead bring curiosity to this, to say like, could I feel better? or how that belief that I've carried and built my life around, maybe that's not, maybe that's not true. Or could there be another way? And so by looking at this and deciding and living your life with an experiment, like keeping it as an experiment, like I'm going to see, maybe that's true, maybe not. You start to discover a completely different path where instead of miserably trying to stop and miserably drinking, you start to align your conscious mind with your subconscious beliefs. And that's where it becomes effortless and truly amazing. So I wanted to share with you all. So I'm excited to share. I've been coaching, thousands of people in different groups and settings from all types of stories and situations. And I want to bring with you those stories, those tactics, those strategies, those ways to start questioning this in a very, very different way. And so I hope you'll join me. Share with me in the comments, have you been questioning alcohol in this way? What have you found? Do you ever hear that battle in your head? Share with me. I'd love to hear more about your journey as we come along and explore this together. All right. Have a beautiful day, everyone.